Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Unscripted and Unstoppable conversations for women over 50 and beyond who are ready to live boldly, live deeply, and trust the unfolding of their next chapter. I'm Laureen Quick, your host, and today we're going to be talking about something that many of us rarely say out loud and talk about out loud, and that is our relationship to food. For some, it's been a lifelong tug of war. For others, it's a quiet comfort. The glass of wine at the end of a hard day, the ice cream that says you've made it through, or the snack that fills that silence of an empty evening. As we move through midlife, when our bodies, routines, and identities start to shift, food can become both friend and a refuge. But often what we're feeding isn't a hunger at all. It's frustration, it's fear, or it's the ache of loneliness. My guest today, Nan Susanna, understands this deeply. She works with emotional eaters, not people struggling with clinical eating disorders, but those who use food to soothe the emotions they don't yet know how to sit with. Her work helps women listen beneath the craving to hear what their hunger is really trying to say. This conversation today isn't about willpower, it's not about dieting, it's about compassion, awareness, and the quiet freedom that comes when you stop numbing your emotions and you start nourishing yourself instead. So take a breath, settle in, and let's begin. Nan, I want to start by focusing a little bit on understanding emotional eating. And so, my first question to you is you specialize in helping emotional eaters, again, not those with disorders like anorexia or bulimia. How do you define emotional eating? And what patterns do you most often see in women that you work with?
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, first of all, for this beautiful introduction. You nailed it. You know exactly what I'm talking about, and this is so good. So, yes, to go back to your question, emotional eating is eating not because we're hungry, but because of an emotion. And so, hunger is a sensation. So it means our body is letting us know that we are hungry, we need more fuel. So it goes from the body to the brain. But when we eat because we want to, not because we need to, then it's our emotions taking taking the driver's seat and saying it goes from the brain to the body. And that's why we feel that desire. We want to eat something. And so we call it emotional eating because it has nothing to do with the needs of our body. And it can be an emotion that we want to keep on feeling. Like, for instance, when we're having a party because it's somebody's birthday or it's the end of the week, as you mentioned, and we want to celebrate, we want to feel rewarded, and we want to keep the good things going, the good feelings going. So that's one way to see it. But what we see most often is actually we're feeling an emotion we'd rather avoid, like loneliness, boredom, stress, sadness, frustration, you name it. And this is very common. We don't want to feel bad. So we use that coping mechanism. We turn to food. Some people turn to drinking. Some people turn to biting their nails. Some people turn to social media. We want to escape. We want to avoid those feelings. So this is why we call it emotional eating. And this is the pattern that I see with the women I work with.
Very, very good explanation. And I found it interesting that it's not always the negative feelings driving us. Sometimes it's the positive as well. But that overeating essentially is covering up something and it's unhealthy.
Yes.
It's better to face whatever is underneath that than to let it just keep going.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Mm-mm. Yeah. And basically the gist of it is that we want to feel good, which is nice in itself. It's just that the way this coping mechanism is not benefiting us in the long run. That's the problem. Yeah.
I agree. I agree, and have experienced this myself. Both just realizing today, on the positive side, but also on the negative side. Many women, I think, are our age in midlife find
Mhm.
themselves turning to food. in moments of stress, when they feel lonely, when they're in transition. A lot when I'm going through major shifts in who
Mhm.
I am and what and who I'm becoming, I find myself eating a lot more. Why do you think these particular life seasons awaken this emotional eating in us?
Totally right. And I think that it's women our age, but also women before. But those times of transitions, I agree with you. Because what was certain before, what was, we had kids in our home, and now we're an empty nester. So we're facing uncertainty, we're facing something new. And so the routine has changed. And whenever we face that uncertainty, we turn to what's available, what's easily accessible, what's predictable. If I want to eat ice cream, well, chances are, if I go to my favorite brand, it will be the same. So there's this sense of maybe security, or we feel we know what we're getting, this sense of certainty. Oh, I know where I'm at because it's always the same. So it would make sense that we turn to some form of certainty when we're feeling uncertain, what's going to happen about the future, who am I becoming, as you said. So yeah, that would make sense.
And
And
so,
also that's something, yeah, go ahead.
would you say, and so really what it's doing is we're seeking comfort,
Exactly, that's why we call them comfort food.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and so I'm guessing now for me, I'm thinking, okay, when I'm feeling this, now that's a clue. That's a trigger for me. It's a wake-up
Yes.
call to say, oh, you're not eating because you're hungry.
Mhm.
And I mean, ice cream is one of my favorite things. And I've had to just not have it at the house anymore because I will just eat it every single night as much as I want. So I only actually really enjoy it when I travel. But
Mhm.
what I'm learning from you today is really that um, it's not the enjoyment of food that's the problem. It's when it becomes excessive and when it's being turned to as a form of comfort because I don't want to face what I have going on right now in
Mm.
my life, whatever that is. Am I getting that?
Totally, yes. And I agree with you. It's not the enjoyment of food that's the problem, because enjoying your food, it's actually not a problem at all. It's quite a good thing. If you hated what you ate, well, you probably wouldn't eat as much and you would probably not survive. But the problem is that indeed that we turn to this enjoyment that we get from the sensations, the taste on the tongue, the weight or the warmth on your tummy or whatever you like about ice cream. That's actually a good thing. But it's when we automatically want more of that and we think it's going to make us feel better, which it does for a split second. Because
Mhm.
if we talk about ice cream, of course we know there are chemicals that make us feel good because it creates dopamine. There's all those things. Yes, they interact with our body, they make us feel good. But when we have too much of it, we don't feel like it in the moment, but maybe 20 minutes later or 30 minutes later, and then we kind of regret it because we've overdone it. So one thing could be for you to really enjoy the ice cream, if that's what you want, would be to slow down and really take your time and really savor it and really, be super mindful of it, so that you would actually have a great time with your ice cream, which you probably do when you travel. But also slowing down would make the experience much better. It wouldn't be the forbidden fruit. You would actually enjoy it and probably would slow down and have less of it, actually. It's
Well,
the
I'm going to
right.
try that for sure, for certain. I
Let
hope
me
I don't
know.
have to go out and get some ice cream just a little bit tonight to give it a go. Yeah, I think the slowing down and actually experiencing the
Mm,
pleasure of eating,
yeah.
and being very thoughtful and very aware, is a
Mhm,
brilliant suggestion. It
mhm.
seems to me, though, what you're really also telling me is that when I turn to food on an emotional level, what that food really is, or what that whole situation really is giving me a message that I should be
Mm,
attending to, right?
yes, absolutely. Yes. Yes. And I like to think that cravings are not monsters. As I used to think, I used to be so afraid of having a craving because I thought that if I had a craving, I could only give in. And I didn't want that. So I used to think of my cravings as monsters. But I've come to realize that cravings are actually a message. They're messengers. They let you know what you want. And basically, is that you want to feel good. So either you're feeling good and you want more of it, or you're feeling bad. And that could be addressed. So, but it makes sense that we turn to food because we think and we've been taught that food can change your mood. right? It's full. When you look at the commercials, it's everywhere. Have this yogurt and you're going to feel so relaxed. Have this and you're going to feel so energized. We have this belief that the food can affect our mood. And yes, again, it does affect the body. That's not something that's completely made up. But in terms of our need, of physical need, there are micronutrients, there are, the nutrients in the food. Of course, they affect our body. But in terms of emotion, that's never the case. Food can only solve hunger, but never emotions. And so we want to feed our emotions with the ice cream, with the pizza, whatever, with the chocolate. That's a big one for me, instead of feeling them. And yes, we do feel good for a split second. We get the sugar high or whatever, but then we feel bloated, heavy, maybe ashamed, maybe guilty, maybe regretful, and that's not fun. So the thing is that we could also feel good, either because we want to keep feeling good or because we want to turn feeling bad into feeling good, by exploring these emotions that we're feeling. So we could ask ourselves, why am I feeling, I don't know, stressed, lonely, bored, whatever it is? Because it has nothing to do actually with whatever is happening in our life, but it's because of the meaning, the interpretation we're making of it. Like for instance, if I've decided to eat chicken and salad to be reasonable, if we want to call it this way tonight,
Right.
and my partner brings home a pizza, then I may feel frustrated because I'm going to think, oh, they're sabotaging me, or I'll never manage my weight the way I want to, or something like that. That's going to make me feel bad. And it has nothing to do with the pizza, but because I'm choosing to interpret the pizza as something negative in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe we do want to feel frustrated. Maybe we do want to feel mad or upset or whatever it is, because sometimes we do want to feel grief when somebody passes away. Those emotions may be unpleasant, but we kind of want to go through them. So it could be exactly the same with the pizza and the emotions that we create around the pizza. But we could also change the thought around the pizza, if I keep using that example,
Yeah.
because we could also remember a quote by Nelson Mandela that I like very much, which is, I never lose. I either win or learn. So I could take the pizza as a perfect opportunity to notice the thoughts that are creating the desire, the intense desire for the pizza. Um, and I could eat the pizza, I could not eat the pizza, I could have one slice, three slices, five slices of the pizza, it doesn't matter. But I could learn something that could help me next time there's pizza in front of me, or ice cream, or popcorn, or whatever, because then I'm going to see, oh, I'm thinking that I need to eat the pizza because I think that if I eat the pizza that my partner brought home, then I'm feeling connected to them. When
Yeah.
in reality, connection is on a very different level. It has nothing to do with whether I eat the pizza or not. So,
Okay. So what I hear from everything you just said really is that we have to first recognize we have this behavior in our life.
yes.
And then once we do, we have to begin to be very aware. Now we're kind of moving into a conversation around how do we heal ourselves from this, but it starts with awareness. So here I
Yes.
am. I'm gonna keep going with the pizza thing.
Yeah.
Because it's not necessarily a craving, but it is still about my relationship to food, right? So
Totally.
I'm assigning all this meaning to my partner bringing a pizza home.
Mm-mm.
And it's causing me to feel bad and feel frustrated and maybe even angry.
Yeah.
And then when I can stop and
Mm.
now say, okay, wait a second, what is really going on here? And spend some time reflecting, just a few moments reflecting on what do I really want right now? What do I
Mm-mm.
really need right now?
Yes.
And then use that as a way to kind of guide myself in the situation to make a decision.
Totally.
And, none of this, of course, is easy, right?
Oh,
It's going to take practice. Is that what you would say is the first thing women should start doing when they realize they have this issue going on in their lives? Is this awareness point of stopping and then just checking in with yourself? Or is there something
totally.
else we should be doing before that?
Well, I like that idea of first having this awareness, and I agree with you. It's not easy. It's just like anything new that we try. It's not easy. If we remember when we first started to walk or talk, none of that was easy. But because we kept going at it, of course, now it's effortless. It's the same with that skill set. There's no reason why it wouldn't be. And I love this, yes, that we start with awareness. I like to use the analogy of, being in the dark when you don't know why you're eating the pizza, just because you think it's because it's here, you have to eat it. But actually knowing that, oh, underneath, maybe I think I should eat the pizza so that then my partner feels happy or whatever. This awareness is like having the light on. And instead of, bumping into the pieces of furniture in a dark room, you now see where the furniture is and you can actually choose, well, where you go, how you go there, what you do with the furniture. You can choose what to do. And I love, yes, those questions that you ask. What do I really want?
Mhm.
So we're talking about the desire, what do I want, but also what do I need, which is a different level, which is what does my body need. So I love that you're thinking of, yes, this could be the first step, the awareness. One other step I think is very important,
Yes.
especially when we've had this pattern for a long time, is to turn to compassion. Because lots of women beat themselves up. It's, if you've been part of the diet culture, as have, either you follow your plan and then, oh, you'll feel amazing, top of the world, you're going to get there, or you don't, and then you think, oh, I've blown it again, I'm such a failure, I never manage. And so it's very all or nothing. So what I really think is super important, if you had this mindset, is to bring in the compassion. And compassion basically is kindness towards us. So a question you can ask yourself is, but why does it make sense that I turn to food? Why does it make sense that I turn to the pizza again, even though I had my plan of chicken and vegetables? And maybe it's because we were taught that way. We talked about commercials, we talk about the society we live in. Food is everywhere. So, of course, it would make sense. And also, when we were a kid, if you like me, if we were crying, well, we were given a bottle. If we were upset because we had scraped our knee, then we were given a cookie. If we were bored, well, we could have some chocolate or whatever. So it's not just us, and we're not failing at something. On the contrary, we've been taught a behavior and we're very good now at reproducing it, repeating it. So it's actually a good news that our brain can learn a habit. It learned this one very, very well. So if
Mhm.
it learned this habit, well, it can learn another one. And of course, it's going to take practice, except that this time we're deliberate. We know what we want. We don't want to be at the mercy of food or cravings, and we can build that. So I think that this step, the kindness, it could go like this and could be very useful. Of course, I'm turning to pizza, well, or chocolate to feel more comfortable because I was taught this way.
Mhm.
And I do believe it. So it makes sense that I would do what I believe in, but I don't have to. I can change the scenario, I can change the pattern. It's an option I see now. It's a choice I now know I have. And I'm always free to choose that or something even better. And I like to remember that we have the choice, even though in the moment, lots of my clients tell me, yeah, but in the moment, I don't think of a choice. I don't feel the choice. It feels so automatic. But it's also perfectly okay, to go on with that choice that's automatic, so long as we can also reflect about it, think about it. That's also a possibility.
I really
And
like this idea of having compassion for yourself because
yeah.
the other thing I heard in that conversation in our conversation so far is put everything in a perspective. You are,
Mhm.
if I'm doing this, I'm 67 years old. I've been doing this most of my life, if not all of it. I have compassion for myself that I have made the decision to break this cycle. I have compassion for myself that sometimes I am not going to succeed. Sometimes I will fail. The temptation will overcome me and I will maybe eat the pizza, right? So, but it's only one moment in a process
Yes,
of growth for me. So I can release that
yeah,
and learn from it. And then we
yes,
move on to the next opportunity, right?
totally.
So, I mean, all of that comes all around the whole idea of shame.
Mm,
We have this shame around we didn't have the self-control. We
right.
lost self-control. How do you help women deal with that concept of shame in their lives?
Mm,
Food.
yes. And just before I talk about shame, which you're so right, it's such a big thing. I love what you said. Yes, sometimes I'll fail. And I like to remind myself and my clients about that because I think it's so important. It was just such a big aha moment when I heard that story. When we learned how to stand up, well, as toddlers or as babies,
Mhm.
we didn't get it right the first time. Just it was not just a decision, oh, today going to stop crawling and I'm going to stand up. It took us so many attempts. We would get back, we would get up, and then we would fall, and then we would get up back up again and again and again. But each time we fell to on our bottoms and got up, we actually made our leg stronger
Yes.
so that then we would stand up more easily and then we would be able to walk and we would be able to run and sprint and so on. And today, when we go to the gym, this is what we call squats. So it's actually perfect.
Exactly.
It's totally part of the process. You're supposed to fall, you're supposed to fail, because yes, if you decide to learn from it, it's going to be a shortcut to actually make it even better. So yeah, thank you for
Good.
bringing that. Yeah, and also when you think of shame, so shame, yeah, we lost self-control and we're thinking that we shouldn't have done this, which is how we interpret it, which is one way to say it. And when we feel shame, it's basically more or less because we're thinking, oh, there's something wrong with me. Whereas when we feel guilty, which may also occur, we feel guilty because we're thinking, oh, I've done something wrong. So different layers, but sometimes both emotions show up when we've eaten something that we didn't want to eat. And what I like to do to break that cycle of shame, guilt, self-criticism, because that's going to just perpetuate the cycle, what I like to do is go back to the facts, go back to the truth, tell ourselves the truth instead of there's something wrong with me or I've done something wrong. I like to go back to, oh, I ate this. And we could be even more specific. I ate 3 slices of pizza. I ate a cup of ice cream. I ate 2 squares of chocolate. And we can even skip the exact amount of food that we ate if that still brings shame, like perhaps because we're thinking, I shouldn't have. But if we go back to I ate food, then it makes it more neutral because I like to remember I'm a human. I ate food. That's what humans do. So, all in all, that's perfectly normal. I don't have to feel ashamed. It's a choice I'm making to create shame. And very often we think, lots of my clients say this, and I used to say this, but I need to feel ashamed. I need to tell myself that I shouldn't have. Because we think that we're going to learn better if we beat ourselves up. It's really the story of the stick or the carrot.
Right.
We can use the stick. Lots of people in many generations have learned at school, that if they got um, an equation wrong, then they were beaten up. That's the way we used to learn. But also, I don't know about you, but when I think I'm going to be beaten up if I've done something wrong, I'm terrified. I don't want to do that. But if I'm thinking in terms of reward, well, if I do it this way, then I'm going to feel better and better and better. And I do want that. So it's really changing the mindset instead of focusing on this bullying ourselves, this self-bullying, to no, 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 no. I'm doing this for me now in the moment, and for me later, tomorrow, but also in 1 year's time, etc. Then it completely shifts the thing. But it's something that we have to think of because it's such a habit to bully ourselves, to create shame, self-criticism, that negative self-talk. So
Mhm.
it's just like changing the radio. Okay, I used to listen to self-criticism radio, but I'm done. I'm done with this. It's not really helpful. It's not fun. What about changing and listening to nice self-talk radio? It's just an idea like that.
It's good. It's good. And I think it's it's a pattern we have to break. And it
Yes,
that self-criticism is in all aspects of our life, not just our relationship to food, right? Um,
totally.
but what I loved about what you said was, get back to a neutral place where you can describe your behavior in a way that doesn't have this horrible meaning associated with it. And then change the channel, turn the radio station to, self-love channel,
Yeah,
and listen to that for a while. Because the piece about the shame is it even if you think it motivates you, what I've learned is it also takes hope away. And
yes,
also leads me to, well, if I'm going to feel bad anyway, I might as well have another piece.
totally.
Well,
Yes.
go ahead and have two more pieces of pizza because I've
Yeah.
already blown it. So it's that coming back to yourself and being totally honest. This is what
Mm,
I've set my goal to do. This is who I want to be. I'm not the person who does this anymore.
yes.
Different person, and we move forward from there.
Yes. Beautiful. I love this emphasis on the identity. Yes, I used to do this. I used to be that person, but I'm not the person who does this anymore. And so, because when we think of us in terms of identity, then of course we're going to act differently and it's going to be effortless rather than we thinking, oh, I shouldn't have this. Then of course it becomes the forbidden fruit. And what you said about shame, hopelessness, that I might as well have more. Because we are just thinking that, yeah, there's nothing to do about it. So indeed, why stop? So yeah.
So part of this is because what I've also know from my love of ice cream, when it becomes excessive, is I am seeking comfort. I
Mm,
want to lose myself in eating, not paying attention to or tending to what might
mm,
not be pretty in my life.
mm, mm.
So I'm seeking comfort, but then obviously, then if I'm not going to seek comfort in food anymore, I need to find comfort somewhere else. What do you tell your clients when they ask you if I can't get comfort from food, where do I find comfort?
Yes, absolutely. Well, comfort is an emotion. So we think it comes from food, and especially since it's so, well known, comfort food. It's
Mhm.
this term for a reason. But comfort is an emotion. So it doesn't come from the food directly. You can't ingest comfort when you eat food, but you're having thoughts that make you feel comfortable until you don't,
Mhm.
because you've had too much. But maybe the main thought that we think, and of course I'm thinking of me, and maybe it's different for you or for everyone else, it would make so much sense, but maybe what it could be, I'm feeling good right now, and that's what is making me feel comfortable. So maybe we could also create that comfort by finding evidence of why I'm feeling good right now. Is it because, well, I'm dressed in warm clothes and it's cool, a bit cold, or because I've got my pet next to me, or because my husband's home? We create those emotions. And all we need to do if we want to believe, oh, I'm feeling good right now, is to find evidence. So we can list all the reasons why we're feeling good right now. And and then it's a choice we're making, and we can, consciously decide to think this. And we can put posters around our computer or around the house, so we can have a little note in our phone, like an alarm set. Oh, I'm feeling good right now, and here's why. And we can just brainstorm ideas of why we're feeling good. But what you were saying was that something that's very common is that if we think that we can't turn to food, or we're choosing not to turn to food for comfort, then the risk is that we're going to feel deprived, we're going to feel punished. And that's also good to know that it's in there in our brain, because we're thinking that if I don't eat this, then I'm going to feel deprived. If I don't eat that, I'm going to feel punished. But it has those feelings, just like comfort, have nothing to do with what we eat or what we don't eat. It's just that if I choose to eat that portion of food, or if I choose not to have that kind of food, and I think, oh, I haven't got enough, it's not fair, I should be able to eat this, then of course I'm going to feel deprived. Of course I'm going to feel bad. I'm going to feel frustrated or restricted, things like that. But we could also have the exact same amount of food or the exact same kind of food and decide to think, that's exactly what my body needs. That's the perfect amount for me to feel good. Or those are my favorite food. And then we're not going to feel deprived, except even if the food or the amount of food is going to be the exact same way. So it's good to know that the food itself is not what's creating the deprivation or the punishment, the restriction, or whatever. It's what we make it mean. And we see that when well, I know when I used to start a diet, I would start to think good thoughts about, oh, this is the perfect amount for me to get what I want, and this is going to feel good. And then over time, I would change the thoughts about the exact same food or the exact same amount, and thinking, oh, not enough, or that's not fair, or and we hadn't changed the food. So it's really about what we think about the food. And we can direct our brain. We can decide on the channel. We can, yeah, choose what we want to think. And it's just then a matter of rehearsal, repeating again and again. Okay, that's what I want to choose about this. And here's why.
I think all of that is fabulous. I mean, it is absolutely fabulous to integrate into your lifestyle. And
Mhm.
it makes me think, we had Halloween a couple of days ago,
Yes.
right? And there's leftover candy. And so
Mhm.
of course I've been going to the bowl and picking a piece here and picking a piece there. And it's sort of like what I'm realizing now is I'm doing that out of stress, out of an association that I'll feel good when I eat a piece of chocolate. When
Mhm.
what I really should say to myself before I reach for that chocolate is, how can I help myself to feel good right now?
Yes.
Give Laureen, challenge yourself. What are 5 things you could do right now that would make you feel good without eating
Yes.
that chocolate bar?
I love that.
Then make myself go through that list first before I
Mhm.
eat, right? Because then I'm going to feel really good about how I
Mhm.
controlled that, how
Yeah.
I intentionally, with conscious choice, made a decision about who I am and how I'm going to live my life. So that was very helpful. Thank you. I
Oh, love that.
totally appreciate that.
Yeah. And you could have, sorry, you could also have this list created ahead of time. That's what I call the pleasure plan. It's
Great.
just, yeah, think about all your five senses. What do you like most in terms of touch, in terms of smell, in terms of hearing, and just create that list so that in those moments when the chocolate is here, you can rely on that list and you can cultivate that list and you can feel good with little things, but all the time. So that then it decreases the stress you could feel because you're so full of pleasure that, you know, the stress may not be as important.
I could
It's
even
just
tape that list to the bowl, the candy bowl,
totally.
right? No,
I
that's
love that.
brilliant. That's brilliant. I love it.
Yeah.
So you talk a lot about that whole idea of listening to your body.
Mhm.
What does that look like, Nan, in terms of practical advice for women who have learned to distrust or not or silence their body, who haven't listened to their body in years? How do you start
Yes.
doing
Yes. And that was totally me because I was eating so much that I had no clue what if I was hungry or not. It's I didn't know. And also I was never taught how to feel my emotions. I was rather taught that if I didn't have any emotion, that would have been even better. So I had no clue what was going on in my body. But yes, that's a skill that I learned. And the idea could be to simply, do a body scan and to scan, going basically what it means is that you think about your toes and you then your ankles and then your knees and you go up or you go down, doesn't matter, from your scalp to your feet, doesn't matter, but just pay attention to what's going on there. And you're going to notice the sensations in your body, and we're talking about food, so you're going to notice the hunger level, so what your body needs, if it needs food, if it needs anything. And then you can play with what we call the hunger scale. I'm feeling hungry. Okay, but how hungry am I feeling? Is it really I'm starving and at a zero on the hunger scale that goes from 0 to 10? Or am I, stuffed like lots of people use the example of Thanksgiving stuff, okay? Stuff after Thanksgiving dinner, and then I'm at a 10. Or where am I? Am I neutral? Am I at a 5? I'm hungry, but not so much, and so on. So you can play with that. And so you can scan your body for the hunger signals that it sends to you. You can also play with scanning your body with the emotions. So if we talk about food, it could be, yes, wanting food, the desire for food. But it could also be when you're feeling upset or when you're feeling joy, what does it look like in your body? And it's really because I agree with you, so many people are disconnected from what's happening in their body. It could be just like you moved from one flat to another and you have no clue what it's like around. So you need to get acquainted with your surroundings, with your new flat, but also with your neighbors, with your neighborhood, and so on. It could be exactly the same. So just be patient and start small. Just start a little bit, but try to be consistent Because of course, just like any skills, just like the squats we talked about, the more you do it, the better you will be at it. And it's like a snowflake. First, it's just a snowflake, no big deal. But then you get another snowflake, and soon it's a snowball and it rolls on its own. So that's what really you're going to experience. The more you do it, the and it doesn't need to be long. It could be just 1 minute here and there. Just like what I like to do is I don't know if you're familiar with BJ Fogg, who wrote Tiny Habits.
Mm-mm.
Oh, it's a great book. I like it. So Tiny Habit by BJ Fogg, and what he does is that he uses habit stacks. And technically, what it is that you already have so many habits in your life, and so you're just using one habit to trigger another habit. So what I do is whenever I wash my hands, I do a little checkup. What am I feeling right now in terms of sensations, but also in terms of emotions? And it doesn't take any longer because I'm still washing my hands, but at the same time, I'm just focusing on my body, what's happening within my body. And so that's it. It's just a little bit of a habit that turns into a skill set.
And
Yeah,
I would think that doing that would create a baseline for you so that when you weren't feeling good, you would be able to distinguish that, right? Because
totally.
I don't feel good after I eat pizza and candy.
Mhm.
Generally speaking, I have enough awareness to know I just feel heavy, stuffed, and my body, even for like the next 24 hours, does not run well. But it
Yeah.
took me a while to actually distinguish how my
Mhm.
body felt after I ate certain foods. So I'm learning this. But I think to begin with, though, you just need to know, what does your body actually feel like?
Totally.
So you can
Yes,
tell when it doesn't feel good, or you can tell when it does feel good, right? Yeah.
absolutely.
Fascinating. This is fascinating because really, in the end, what we're talking about is having awareness,
Mhm.
and at the same time, taking action on that awareness with intention.
Absolutely. Yes.
So
Yeah.
my last question for you today is, Nan, if every woman listening or watching could make one
Mm.
small change this week to move themselves forward to create more comfort, more peace in their life, in their relationship with food, what would you invite her to do?
Yes. Thank you for that question. So what I would invite them to do would be really to take a little pause, just a tiny pause before reaching for the leftover candies from Halloween, for instance. Um, it can be really easy to miss because it feels automatic. This behavior feels automatic. But I like to think of it in terms of the doorbell rings and we can answer it or not. The sound is not in our control, just like the food being in front of you in this leftover bowl. So the sound is not in your control, but you can choose to open the door or not,
Mhm.
right? So it's the same with this. And I remember a client thinking, well, yeah, it's just if I eat one Oreo, then the whole pack is gone. It's just there's no I just eat one, eat all, and it's just she couldn't see the sequence of events. It's just happening all at once, which is so true for so many of us.
Mhm.
But one day she asked herself, okay, what if I don't eat this one? She had it in her hand right now. And she just paused for 1 second. Instead of just, eating it without being even aware of it, she just paused for 1 second. And of course, it didn't change her behavior overnight, but it showed her that she wasn't powerless. She wasn't, at the mercy of the Oreos. She had that 1 second. And over time, of course, she went from eating whole packs of Oreos to choosing deliberately to eat just three, but with zero struggle. It was not as if she was telling herself, you have to only eat three. No, it was just, oh, that's what I do now. It was her identity, as we mentioned earlier. So I like to use this quote that you probably know from Viktor Frankl: between stimulus and response, there's space. In that space is our power to choose our response. So the stimulus is the doorbell ringing, and then the response is I open the door or not. So the stimulus is I want to eat the chocolate, and the response is but I may delay this just by 1 second to prove to myself that I can do it. And then I heard somebody to describe it as interval training, when you learn how to run faster. And it's exactly the same. You can delay the eating the Oreo by one more second, by maybe 1 minute or five. And then you prove to yourself that You can do this. And you build that trust, which I think is so important. Um, and then it becomes automatic. And also, if you can't do it in the moment, that's okay. It makes perfect sense because it's been so automatic. But if you can, think about it after the fact without beating yourself up, being curious, not furious, then it's just like the athletes, who train by and film what they're doing, so that then they can watch the replay, so that then they can get better. So it's everything's not lost if in the moment you answer the urge to eat the chocolate by eating the chocolate. After the facts, you can always go back to, okay, why did I do that? Which is exactly what you did, noticing that you were reaching for the chocolate, not because of the chocolate, but because you were feeling stressed. So that's awareness. Then you can go deeper. Why am I feeling stressed? And so
We
on.
build this, it's a muscle we build over time.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, Nan, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
being here today and for sharing your wisdom and your compassion and also your honesty about what it really means to heal our relationship with food. And to you, our listeners and viewers, I thank you for being here as well, for showing up for these conversations, and for continuing to explore your own next chapter with such courage and curiosity. If this conversation stirred something in you, if you've ever found yourself eating to soothe, to calm, or to fill an emptiness that food never really truly can fulfill, I hope that you take one gentle step towards awareness this week and practice that whole idea of the pause that Nan talked about. Because what we're truly hungry for really isn't the pantry. We're hungry for what's in our hearts, what we want, what we need, and our unspoken truth. To learn more about Nan, I would encourage you to check out the show notes. There will be some links there for you that I think will be very helpful. And my friends, until next time, please stay curious, stay kind to yourself, and keep walking boldly towards what's real and nourishing for you. Thank you.
Thank you.